Welcome live here in Dover, Delaware. We are here on a Thursday evening for the Upper Edge Racing CMC Sportsman Series in the Class B car here on iRacing. The Chevrolet Camaro and the Ford Mustang B cars out here on the track today. These guys getting set and ready for a pretty tough race here at the Monster Mile. 150 laps for the BMP 150. As always, Steve Bonesteel, Shane Doherty up in the booth here as these guys are on pit road, getting ready to roll on off behind the Ford Mustang iRacing pace car. We've got an exciting race up ahead here, and I'm going to turn it back over to Shane Doherty real quick to run through the starting lineup.
Yeah, we'll just have to see how tonight is. Andrew Finch, the third, is on the Andy Glazik will start second. Ryan Dyson third. Austin Hartenfels will start fourth. Corey Hoover fifth. Mark Murphy sixth. Trevor Polo will start seventh. Lee Burke is outside in eighth. Shane Terry in ninth. Michael Finlayson tenth. Rod instead 11th. Mike Taylor 12th. 13th Mark Rapolo. 14th Roger David. 15th Bruce Ackerman. 16th Elaine Krasinski, 17th Michael Thompson, 18th Joseph Thies, and 19th will be Dalton Alexander.
As they roll it on off here, they will be getting the green flag. In just a moment, the pace car pulls off. We wait for Fayosh to head off for green flag action. And the field is away there, side by side, again into 1 and 2. Andrew Fayosh is going to have a nice advantage as they head double file there, trying to get single file as quickly as possible. Ryan Dyson cracks through to that second position. RCA teammate Austin Hartenfels there trying to follow through. Andy Glazik started on the outside front row, and he is finding himself rolling back through the field there, stuck up on the outside line, dropping in behind second place in points Corey Hoover as they all chase down Hartenfels. Hoover gets into the wall a little bit.
Yeah, kind of jumped up on him there. Doesn't look to be too much.
Heading down into the corner again, you're going to see these guys pretty much single file through the majority of this race. Dover here is a fun track, do not get me wrong. Ton of fun here at this track, the Monster Mile. It's a tricky track, and I mean, it's one of those self-cleaning tracks, it really is. However, because the walls are so close to both sides of the racing surface, if there's a wreck, you could easily just have the entire back straightaway or the front straightaway or these corners blocked off to you. And the way these guys come hauling ass off the corner, I mean, you see right there, Corey Hoover catch that outside wall. I mean, these guys carry so much speed, it's really hard for them to get woed down when there's trouble in front of them.
Yeah, Dover's also one of those tracks. It's got concrete. One of the few tracks we go to that it's concrete. Kentucky is kind of the same way. Shape or form, but Dover's kind of one of those unique tracks. You have to drive it completely different compared to every other track, and that's why I like my personal favorite track on iRacing, because of that. It's you're either really good here or you're really bad here. It's just some people like it, some people don't.
Taking a look right now, guys, at Dalton Alexander in one of the CFI cars out here today. He is on track to be going 2 laps down already. Shane, I'm not sure if you can get a report on what happened to that number 1 Chevy Camaro, but he will be finding himself 2 laps down pretty shortly here as we are now 7 laps into this race.
Yeah, it looks like he reported he had some kind of black flag. It might have been on the initial start of the race. We really don't know at this point, but yeah, he had to come down that road, serve a penalty, and he's back out there. But like you said, Steve, losing some laps here because of it.
We hop on board with Corey Hoover there in the gyro cam, just taking a look. I mean, even the straightaways here at Dover, have a little bit of banking. I mean, imagine walking up the roof of your house. That's almost what the straightaways here at this track are. You stand down at the bottom of the straightaways here, and I mean, it's a general incline. I mean, I think it's like 7-degree banking, which is pretty decent there. If you're in a trigonometry class, you just love finding the tangent of that one.
Yeah, definitely did play that. It was fun, but I think it's the most banked straightaway actually on the entire NASCAR circuit. So definitely unique part of Dover is those straightaways. They are pretty much like walking up your roof, as you said, Steve. Pretty steep.
Yeah, people sometimes get the misrepresentation from a video game, like walking up the banking at Daytona, Talladega, even Michigan. Yeah, I mean, that is incredible. You don't see houses all that often with banking that steep. It is literally, if you stand at the bottom there as Andy Glazik hits the wall again, if you stand on the apron at Daytona, you are basically looking straight up at the wall. I mean, it's incredible. We've had our first 11 laps here at the Monster Mile, single file pretty much and caution free. Corey Hoover is again going to try to dive it under his RCA teammate there. Ryan Dyson up on the high side. We highlighted into the pre-race video there. He has 22 points behind Fayash for the points lead, and that number 33 machine needs to step it up towards this rear end of the season. We're already halfway through this event, this season. We've got 23 races total on the board, and this is our 12th here at Dover. So this season quickly getting wrapped up, and these guys really need to step it up.
Yeah, kind of go off the schedule now. You're starting to go Dills in terms of what was the beginning and now coming toward the end of the season. It's, you know, a couple tracks ahead, and then we're out of here as in terms of which, because you never know what can happen here down to the end, and you got to press now, or it's now or never.
As we watch these guys head down at the corner there, the number 33's actually been able to not only make the pass on Ryan Dyson, but that number 48 machine of Mark Murphy has made the pass. But looking back up towards the front, Andrew Fayash has a little bit of competition shaping up. Looks like Austin Hartenfels is just a stone's throw away, just under a half of a second there. That number 29 Castrol oil machine looking pretty sporty. The difference between the two lines that I'm looking at right here, Shane, is Fayash runs a little bit off of that bottom apron, which is going to save that right front tire just a little bit, as well as provide a solid drive off of the corner where Austin Hartenfels right there behind him is going to have to kind of baby that right front tire because he's putting so much wheel into it, and then coming off the corner he won't be able to just gun it off like Fayash.
Yeah, definitely. There are kind of the two different lines you can take at Dover. Really, we're going to have to see as the run goes on who's going to be faster with it. But right now, Andrew Fayash, the third, right now the fastest car on the racetrack in the lead. Corey Hoover's trailing behind, but Austin Hartenfels is right behind him right now in second spot, and they are closely compacted together. They're not even a quarter of a second between the two.
Again, just continuing to watch the battle up at the front here for the BMP 150 at Dover. Andrew Fayash has led all 17 laps so far today, actually 19. I guess my eyesight's going out on me, Shane, but he's got competition in front of him, and he's starting to get himself right on the back bumper of Dalton Alexander here in a few laps. You see these cars coming off turn 3, turn 4 there, and turn 2. That back end of the cars really tries to swing out on him a little bit there.
Yeah, this is one of those tracks that you have to work hard too, and I know that's kind of weird saying, well, you know, kind of sim racing here, not really working hard. Well, that's false. This is one of those tracks where you have to work hard. You have to put all the wheel you can into the car, and when you come off the corner tail happy there, that's pretty typical. You're not going fast enough if that's not happening here usually.
Yeah, the biggest thing is when it comes to these cars coming up off the corner, they need to be careful because that back end could slap the wall and bring the front end right with it.
Oh, as we see a little bit there, right as you said it, Steve, Austin Hartenfeld's just had a little bit of that moment. Doesn't look to be too much damage, but he gets the rear end into the wall, and it kind of kicked the front end into there as well. Loses a little bit of time, but nonetheless still okay. So it's pretty typical of Dover, though. Thing about Dover as well is field gets pretty spread out here. Top 10's over 7 seconds back, or at least the 10th place car, Bronson Stafford, Aubrey Lear, Andrew Fayash the third. So really starting to see who's got the better car and who needs some work, at least to start off here. 150 laps, only 25 through this time by. It's plenty of time to get a little bit better at it and have another chance here before this race ends.
Looks like that battle up at the front really has not materialized here as we're 25 laps into this thing. These guys pretty much have equalized their lap times, and it seems as if actually Hartenfels is starting to lose a little bit of that momentum, and it could perhaps have to do with that right front getting scorched. However, now that we're 27 laps into this race, we're going to take a look at the top 5. Currently, you have Fayash out in front there in the number 77 machine, followed by Hartenfels, Hoover, Murphy, and then Ryan Dyson rounding out the top 5. We're going to head off to a quick commercial break. Do not go away. Checkered Flag Interactive returns in just a moment.
Back here live at Dover International Speedway here for the CMC Sportsman Series and Checkered Flag Interactive's coverage here at Dover. As I said, Andrew Fayash III continues to lead with Austin Hartenfels following behind in second, about half a second back there. Corey Hoover, Mark Murphy, Ryan Dyson, nothing's changed up front. Since we came back, instead, Austin Hartenfels just nailed the wall off turn 2. I don't know if we get a replay up there, Steve. Just absolutely clobbered it there. Wow.
In fact, the replay is coming up on your screen right now. You see that line he's been taking's really been hurting that right front, and he just clobbers that wall. Like you said, Shane, big time damage, probably going to lose a couple tenths a lap. That sucker's going to be tight.
As if it already wasn't tight enough, at least what that cause of the wreck is in. And you can see actually using the apron there, that car will not turn for Austin, so he'll be looking for a caution here sooner or later. Looks like Andy Glazik has fallen from the server here. Some internet connection issues causing that car to lose some laps. It's not good in RCA racing. All of a sudden having a couple of casualties early on in this race. Not going the way they want. They're going to need some cautions here, get some chances to catch back up.
Right now, the number 32, Michael Finlayson, Checkered Flag Interactive Ford Mustang, is moving through the field, Shane, just a couple positions. He fell back to 13th there after a while, and he's moved his way back up to where he started in 10th, and now he's starting to knock on the door of not only Marco Polo right in front of him, but Trevor Rapolo as well. That number 32 machine really seemed to be a little bit conservative on the beginning parts of the run, which probably is playing into that part where now we see that 32 working through the field.
Yeah, definitely starting to come back around there for Michael Finlayson, catching all these guys that kind of used up their tires earlier in the run, and now he's taking advantage of it. Still about 20 laps or so before these guys will be required to come down pit road because they'll run out of fuel. So definitely toward the end of this run, Michael Finlayson, one of the faster cars on the racetrack.
Taking a look right now, we've got ourselves a battle for third. Mark Murphy is all over Corey Hoover there in that number 33 machine. And really seems to have started once Corey hit that outside wall. That machine, a lot like Austin Hartenfels, has lost some speed. And that number 33 has fallen to the clutches of that number 48. And I'm pretty sure we'll see Mark Murphy work his way around him pretty quickly here.
Yeah, it looks like Corey's actually going to let him go via radio there. And there they go, they'll let him go. And Mark Murphy will move up into the third spot. Takes a little bit of time to complete the pass through the turn, but makes it regardless, and that'll move Mark Murphy up to third from the new starting spot.
If you're just now tuning in, let's take a look at how the race started here. We saw these guys diving it down 2 by 2, and Andy Glazik and that number 19 was on the front row, and as you said, Shane, not only did he fall through the server, but he fell out of the top 5 pretty quickly there, struggling in that number 19 machine. Then we saw a lot of drivers getting into the wall, and then looking, we also saw the number 1 of Dalton Alexander find himself in a black flag situation there. Not exactly what happened to that machine, but he had to bring it down pit road. That is what's put him 2 laps down, looking to where he is now. And really, aside from that, Shane, nothing has changed since the drop of the green flag, aside from the positions and really the RCA drivers finding their ways up into the wall.
Yeah, it just seems like they are running in the top 5. That's got 3 other cars in the top 5 here with the exclusion of Andy Glazik, as we mentioned, but definitely going to need a caution if they're going to want to run down that 77 car, Andrew Fayash III. He's fast every week, but tonight he looks particularly fast, and he's got a motive at this point to set some pretty decent amounts of laps led. In fact, he's probably got his eye on leading the rest of this race if we go caution free.
Looking right now, we've also got a battle for 5th. Bradley Burke in that gunk machine is getting to the point where I think he's about done with Ryan Dyson there in the number 28 in front of him. And that gunk machine's been gaining on him pretty rapidly over the past 5 or 6 laps, and now he's right there towards that rear end of Ryan Dyson. He's choosing again what Fayash is running the number 2 is with the arc in the corner to get that run off. And now you're going to see the number 28 diving under Dalton Alexander in that number 1 car, who gets up in the wall trying to let him by.
Yeah, I think a lot of guys' cars are not turning at this point. The run down to about 10 or 15 laps or so. We'll see pit stops. And one of the points of this track is, well, if your car isn't handling good, it often isn't handling good extremely. And it's not fun to drive. Everyone will have a car like that sooner or later in their racing career where that happens. And this is definitely not a track to have that happen. But starting to see some of these guys here tonight. This is a fixed setup league, so these guys don't make the setup. But maybe they're starting to abuse those tires a little bit. And it's really showing at this part in the run, having a tough time getting that race car to turn.
Corey Hoover diving it down pit road, as well as a couple other drivers, as we have a couple statistics really quick about that Class B Camaro. A 5.8 liter V8 engine. These things can hold up to 18.5 gallons of Sunoco racing fuel, and these things at any given time can crank out 650 to 700 horsepower, weighing in at just under 3,500 pounds. These things are complete beast out here.
Yeah, they really are. A lot of fun to watch as usual, and aside from the Cup car as well, it's one of the most powerful stock cars in the world, so always fun to watch the B car here. It's always going to be my favorite car in iRacing because of the looks and also just because of the flat-out speed and feel of the car as well. It's one of the best cars, in my opinion, made of all time in racing.
Taking a look, Austin Hartenfeld still out on the track. Corey Hoover choosing to come down pit road as early as he could there, and that could play against him as this race goes on. We'll have to see how that one works out. Right now, the Omni Table number 77 car currently still out in front as he winds it around turn 3 and 4 there. He's going to lead his 50th lap of the race. You can see the delta between the tires there pretty massive now that the number 33 of Hoover is going back around the number 77 there. He fell about 2/10 off there, but on those older tires, Fayash cannot hold him off, and already Hoover pulling away by about a tenth and a half.
Yeah, for Fayash, you're definitely not going to want to stay out there for long. You see some guys coming down pit road. Austin Hartenfeld hits the pit lane as well. You can't stay out there too long. Not only are you going to lose the lead, but you're going to lose quite a significant amount of time. So we're just going to have to see here if he brings it down pit road within the next couple of laps.
And now looking, Austin Hartenfels will be working on the number 77 there, and he dives underneath of him to get one of his laps back, so move the number 29 machine back up to where he wants to be. I think he's actually only one lap down now.
Yeah, it's crucial only to be one lap down. If we get a caution, you pit here, you lose 2 laps. You got to get one of those laps back to be in contention, because you'd only get the wave by and be 1 lap down if you were 2 laps down when the caution would come out. So now it would allow Austin and the rest of the guys in front of him to get back on the lead lap and at least have a chance to come back in this race. But definitely don't want to get caught on pit road here when a caution comes out. It's definitely not going to be easy to come back from. I will tell you this, Steve, kind of questioning why Fayash is staying out there as long as he is. He's losing a lot of time to the rest of the guys out there, and it's pretty much the end of this fuel window. I would bring it down here soon, if not now.
Yeah, the number 28 machine also out on a similar strategy. And Shane, I mean, even number 28 of Ryan Dyson finding trouble out there, really just struggling to get around the turns. I mean, just a few laps ago, he was 10 seconds behind the leader, and now he's running, I mean, still half of a second slower than the number 77 of Fayash. So once again, you are watching the BMP 150 here live at Dover. Steve Bonesteel, Shane Doherty up in the booth. We're going to step away for a hot second here. Do not go away. CFI returns here for the BMP 150. Welcome back live here at Dover. We're at the Monster Mile for the BMP 150. These guys still at the front of the field, staying out, Shane. Risky maneuvers here, but it looks like they're to see if they can't make it to halfway as Ryan Dyson almost finds the outside wall.
Yeah, definitely not good for these guys who have stayed out. The tires are as cooked as they could possibly be, at least on this car, and still stay attached. This place taxes tires regardless of how you drive the car. The longer you're out there, the worse it's going to feel, and just got to hope these guys bring it down pit road safely, because these things are not handling good. If you're Andrew Fayash or Ryan Dyson, Michael Finlayson, you're still out there, they're going to have to come down here soon, or they're going to have a tough time getting onto pit road. It's one thing slowing a car down with fresh tires onto pit road. When you got 65 plus old lap tires, it's going to be a handful, so we'll just have to see if those guys can do that safely.
As we've got a cluster of cars there on your screen, Mark Murphy in the Circle Alliance. Number 48 squeezes under Ryan Dyson and Michael Finlayson.
Yeah, they got to go now. They got a lot fresher tires, got to get by those guys, get as much ground as they can on Andrew Fayash III, because when he pits, he will no longer be the leader by far. He has stayed out way too long to keep the lead, as in terms of how many laps he's had on fresher tires. By far, Mark Murphy and all the other guys who pitted earlier are going to be in front of Andrew Fayash III. It's just going to be determined on who's going to be in front of him when he comes out. How far back will he be, and will he be able to make up the ground that he loses when he makes this pit stop? We'll just all have to see when eventually he does eventually come down pit road.
You know, I do actually kind of like the strategy Fayash is putting out there. And if there's cautions, his strategy is completely thrown out the window. However, if we stay green, the drivers that came down at lap 50, Corey Hoover, Austin Hartenfels, they're going to shoot for probably, realistically speaking, they're going to need another stop. And then drivers like Austin these guys that have stayed out like Andrew Fayash, Ryan Dyson, and Michael Finlayson there in number 32, even Bronson Stafford also staying out, they're going to be in a position where they can make it a one-stop race. And, I mean, that could make up the time because you go 2 laps down here at Dover when you go down on pit road. That's about 60 seconds, a full minute, and up to a minute and 10 seconds trying to get back up onto the track. And some of these guys now heading down pit road, looks like Dyson there.
Yeah, they're going to take a risk because I believe Ryan Dyson, yes, he is on pit road, so he has decided to come down pit road. Even if he goes 70 more laps next run, he's only made it to 140 at that point. Still has 10 more laps he has to make, so if you're Andrew Fayash III, you're either going to need a caution or you're going to need to go 5 more laps on this racetrack, and I don't know if he can do that. Just going to have to wait and see here.
Another one of those drivers that's staying out is Finlayson. There is actually Fayash is starting to come up towards him here, and he's about a quarter of a track away from that number 32. So we will have to see Steve Bonesteel, Shane Doherty up here in the booth as we're 71 laps into BMP 150. Now, like
you can
I
really start to see that front hang out with Andrew Fayash III. Car's not turning anymore. He's just out there for strategy at this point, trying to hang on until that car runs out of fuel.
Now, really, like I said, Shane, if the caution is to come out, that completely throws everything, a ratchet and everything, because when he comes down pit road here, he's going to end up 1 lap down. He will be 1 lap down when he comes out of pit road. Now, when everyone else has to come back in, not only will he have fresher tires for a slightly longer amount of time, but he'll be able to put them 2 laps down since that's about how long it takes here. So if strategy works out, he will be roughly 15 to 10 seconds ahead at the end of the race, assuming nothing happens to him and he continues at the pace and everyone else doesn't find an extra half of a second a lap. But if a caution comes out, traps him under that 1 lap down, he's going to have to take the wave by, and then he's fair game on everybody, and he'll be towards the tail end of the field.
Yeah, it's kind of a risk taker, and I think Andrew Fayash III is one of those guys who's willing to take that risk, being the points leader at the moment as well. He feels as if this is the best way to get him into position to win the race tonight and continue his momentum. But there you go. He hits lap 75, calls this time by. He's coming to pit road. So yeah, according to what we've been saying, Steve, he would be right on the mark, lap 150. So we'll just have to see if he can make it here. And maybe a caution will call. You never know.
As we hop on board with Fayash as he heads down on the pit road, you see the Team Tylenol red pit road signs there. That's definitely not what he wants, although he probably has a headache from all the math he's been probably doing in his head there. A painstakingly slow pit road here, 35 miles an hour. As they go down this pit road, he's going to be all the way down on the tail end of pit road, right behind the Ford Mustang pace cars. We're still on board on the gyro cam. Let's just take a look at what a stop looks like from inside the car here. He gets it down into a stall, very ginger, much like his pit road entrance, which is not a bad thing at all. The right side goes up, and then it's going to go down about a 14.5 second to 15 second pit stop here in these B cars. He's got that car revved up, ready to go, drops down to the ground, and then that commitment cone right there and exit. And we'll just have to see where he cycles through.
Yeah, he's not going to lose a lap. He's definitely going to lose probably the top 5. Other than that, it's kind of up in the air. And we'll just have to see. But if his strategy works, it's definitely going to win the race. At this point, we thought he'd go a lap down. He's not going to go a lap down. Now he's got the freshest tires on the racetrack, and it'll just all depend on if everything falls into place there for Andrew Fayash III, or will it fall into place for guys like Corey Hoover and Mark Murphy, who pitted a long time ago, but will be due back onto pit road shortly.
Taking a look at the top 5, Corey Hoover out in front, Mark Murphy in second, Austin Hartenfels third, Bradley Burke in fourth there, and just like you said there, Shane, the number 77 machine not even falling out of the top 5. Really surprised, too, that Corey Hoover's able to run like he is. They must have fixed a little bit of that damage on pit road, because that number 33 machine was running about a quarter of a second off the pace for a little while there after smacking that outside wall. And now he seems to have gotten that car back under control, but he's really driving it into the corner, and that's going to hurt that tire wear over the long run, and there's simply no way he will make it to lap 150.
Speaking of speed difference, last time by, Andrew Fayash III clocked in at 24.5. Your leader, Corey Hoover, a 25.4. That's almost an entire second. Fresher tires are at this point to compare to those guys who pitted earlier. That's a big difference. Andrew is about 14 seconds off the lead. So good question to be if maybe he might be able to catch these guys before they come back down pit road. I don't know, because he's quite faster than pretty much everyone in front of him at this point.
You are watching the Checkered Flag Interactive broadcast of the CMC Sportsman Series, the Crescent Moon Contracting Sportsman Series for the Upper End Racing League here on iRacing. Steve Bonesteel, Shane Doherty up in the booth. Do not forget, we've got plenty of action this weekend. Saturday morning, bright and early, 8 a.m. Eastern Time, 7 a.m. So weird saying 7 a.m. Central and then just moving back onward there. The Sim Racers of Asia group comes back on CFI, and we go to Watkins Glen for some GT3 action, and then later on into the weekend we've got the Rose DW12 IndyCar Series. Evan Pisotto, Steve Bonesteel up in the booth there, and we're also at Watkins Glen for that event. And then in just 1 week's time, the WSU Motorsports Phantom Cup Series kicks off, and that's going to be plenty of excitement there. 36 races every night that NASCAR runs. They will be there as well, Sunday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern. And still, the Fayash machine there, the 77, running about almost 3/4 of a second faster than our leader. That time by, he ran exactly a full 3/4 of a second faster. And for those of you wondering who I think is going to win this race, I'll let you give a little bit of a pick here, Shane, in just a moment. But I have my money down on either Fayash or Mark Murphy. If we get a caution, I think Mark Murphy will get the win. But if we stay green, Fayash has got this thing all locked up.
Yeah, we're not going to see a two-car incident bring out a caution here. They're too spread out. Most of the field is by themselves, just kind of running their own laps at their own pace. If there's going to be a caution to kind of mix up the strategy in this event, it's probably going to be someone getting into the wall, spinning out, losing control of their car. But if we don't see that, then the strategy of Andrew Fayash, in my opinion, will win this race. It's a risky strategy. He's risking a lot at this point, possibly the points lead as well, if this doesn't work the way he wants it to. But if it does and we get no cautions, he's going to win this race and win it by a marginal value. So we're just going to have to see if Andrew Fayash's third strategy can work. But yeah, if it ends up getting a caution and he's out of it, Mark Murphy, Corey Hoover, Austin Hartnells, or even Bradley Burke up there, all those guys in the top four have a good chance to win.
And now we've actually got ourselves a cluster of cars, Shane. Just as you said, we might not see a wreck up really anywhere. We've got ourselves 5 cars on the screen there. Corey Hoover losing the lead to Mark Murphy. There's my pick if we get the caution, moving up to the lead there. And I've got a feeling that number 48 machine's going to set his sights on finding a way to make it happen here at Dover. He needs that caution if he wants to beat that number 77. But, I mean, another one of those weeks, Mark Murphy has pulled out a great run.
Yeah, there goes Mark to take the lead from Corey, so that'll move the number 48 Ford Mustang up into the lead for the first time this evening. And he will have to kind of navigate some way through some lap traffic, at least sooner or later. Michael Finlayson's kind of marched back up there. We were talking about him earlier. He's up to 11th at this point. He was outside the top 10, and he's close to the top 10, but Ryan Dyson's kind of fallen back. He's another one of those guys, kind of on the same strategy Andrew Fash, the third is. He did pit a little bit earlier, though, so he might have to come down pit road here for a second stop. We'll just have to see. But other than that, Mike Tellier having a pretty good run in 12th. Lane Krasinski running 13th, and a great run for him. And then everyone else is kind of just running on the racetrack. We haven't had any like damaged cars out there that are causing any problems. Everyone's pretty much racing clean, having minimal problems out there, and just logging laps.
Taking a look, Ryan Dyson and Finlayson, they're both again running next to each other, 91 laps into this, also on the same strategy as Andrew Fash in that 77 machine. So these guys up here are actually who he's racing basically on the same strategy.
As I mentioned before, not really anyone damaged running on the track, so the 19 cars that started, 18 are currently running at the moment. The only one, Andy Glazik, has no...
Hopping on board with Andrew Fayash there. Sorry to cut you off, Shane, but I mean, you got to check that live timing on the screen right now, riding on the gyro cam. 2.5 seconds. He gained a full second almost that time by running almost, again, a full second faster than those two guys right there in front of him on the horizon. You can see him there on the camera. Corey Hoover dives it down pit road, and now he's got his sights set on Mark Murphy in that number 48. Move Fayash up into that second position.
Yeah, definitely some strategy moves there from Corey Hoover, bringing it down pit road. This will be his final stop of the night, but the thing though, he's making this pit stop, he's made this commitment to the strategy, and he's going to elect to go with the two-stop strategy as he wanted earlier, or stated earlier. So this is going to put Corey under that roof, and he's just going to have to stay there and hope that his strategy works. But in order for it to work, and Andrew's strategy not to work, he's going to need a caution, and if we don't get that, then he's probably going to end up finishing behind that number 77 car, which has just taken the lead now after Mark Murphy brings his car down pit road.
Got a battle for third. Joseph Tice and Mark Rapolo there. Joseph in that number 5, pretty much one of those guys we have not said a word about all night long. Move him up into third, as well as Trevor Rapolo in that number 9. And now with the way strategy has worked out, Ryan Dyson now in the top 5 there, as well as Finlayson trying to follow him through.
Yeah, Joseph Thies is the biggest mover of the race, actually. Started 18th all the way up to 3rd. That's plus 15 spots. To gain 15 spots in a 19-car field for tonight's event is very impressive. Great job to Joseph Thies. It's going to really depend here as the rest of this race goes on if he can secure a top 5, but this is definitely a season run for Joseph Thies if he can come away with a good finish here tonight.
Well, we have a hot second here again on CFI. Let's talk about the iRacing.com Motorsports Simulator really quick. This thing is incredible. You can race against people on all of the, I mean, pretty much anywhere on the planet. You've got internet, you've got computers, and I mean, unless you're North Korea and the government's got you blocked, you can hop on here and race with guys across the planet, door to door, inches apart, on venues across the world as well. I mean, I think there's tracks from about 20 different countries here on iRacing. Maybe I overshot that by about 5, but I mean, they've got plans for getting tracks like the Nürburgring on this service. And Nürburgring, that is actually the full circuit is a 15.26 mile track. Going around the full Nürburgring circuit, not including the Nordschleife part and the GP, is it's incredible. It's like 10 minutes, Shane, going around that entire thing.
Yeah, and just the amount of time they have to take to scan that track and make it as amazing as it is in real life here on the simulator, can't imagine. So just hats off to all those guys and the folks at iRacing. That's a cool track getting ready to launch here sooner or later, and Definitely probably one of the hardest tracks they've had to work on in a long time. That is a long ways to go to get that entire track finished.
Although that new scanner that they've got that does things in half the time due to its 360 rotational degree, basically laser eye, they can do things in half the time that they used to be able to do it. And as we see some of these guys now, Austin Hartenfels going back around his teammate, not for position, just trying to get those laps back there. And, ooh, Finlayson's hard into the wall. That CFI machine's going to lose a couple spots. And now Dyson's going to hop back underneath of him. And now that thing's going to be super tight. And he's going to struggle making it 150 laps on that baby.
Yeah, he's definitely, he's one of those cars that's on the older tires. And he's got some guys on newer tires going by him. And he's maybe trying to push the issue a little bit there and not working out for him. So he's going to get into the wall there. He'll be okay. He won't lose much ground, but still has some damage he's going to have to deal with at this point in the race before it's over. More cars coming down pit road this time. Joseph Thies, one of them. So starting to see some of these guys who want to pit one more time coming down now.
You are watching the BMP 150 here live at Dover, the Monster Mile. This track is technically, I think, considered a short track, Shane. I'll have to look that up to confirm, but I'm pretty sure they consider Dover a short track, or at least they did on NASCAR The Game. And of course, I worked for Utechniks for 3.5 years, and I probably learned some incorrect stuff over there since I have no clue if we even went to a single NASCAR race other than myself.
Yeah, they consider Phoenix a short track, and that's a mile-long track, and Dover, at least according to the iRacing description, is listed at exactly 1 mile, so I guess you could call Dover International Speedway a short track here on the iRacing simulator. It definitely drives like one, so I'd say it's fair game to be called a short track.
Just doing a quick check. Everywhere I see refers to it as a short track, so I do believe that this thing is, of course, a short track here. And that's pretty interesting because, I mean, while you say it does drive like a short track, it drives like a giant Bristol. It really does.
Yeah, only we're on the bottom here and definitely not on the top. You're usually going to the wall if you try and ride the top here around Dover, but that's a story for another day at this point. But I guess now that pit stops have cycled through for those guys who are making their second stop, that means Andrew Fayette's third strategy pretty much has already worked. If we get a caution, some guys are going to have to take a wave by, and then he can pit, and he'll essentially still be in the lead. And I think now at this point it's going to be pretty hard to beat him because he's got a 24-second lead over Michael Finlayson. And even with a caution, he'd only have 3 cars on the lap with fresh tires.
As you see, Fayosh there working underneath that number 60 of Elaine Krasinski. He's going to have to check up real quick because Elaine's going to try to go around Dyson there in the number 28 machine. And that's going to actually be putting Ryan Dyson a lap down. So one of the only drivers on the same strategy as Fayosh about to find themselves 1 lap behind him. As, oh, wow! Big time save. That could have been huge.
Yeah, almost checked Ryan Dyson to the inside wall and almost ended his night. I understand Elaine is a couple laps down, not racing Ryan for position. There's just so many guys out here on different laps, not necessarily battling for position, but battling for racing space on the racetrack. And that could have been ugly there, but everyone gathers it back up.
We're watching Steve Bonesteel and Shane Doherty here live at the Monster Mile, the Crescent Moon Contractors Series, and these guys have been chugging along here. Wow, guys, I cannot talk for quite some time. Not a single green, or not a, wow, Shane, not a single yellow flag lap here at the track here today, which is impressive because Dover is one of those tricky tracks that you find yourself running into pretty much everything except the pace car because it's transparent here on iRacing.
Yeah, I think all the hard work you've been doing, Steve, starting to take a toll on yourself there, not able to fully get everything out of your mouth that you want to. So that's, I guess, the testament, I guess. Working pretty hard here. I have a very busy schedule here on CFI, and I mean, just part of it all, I guess, really starting to pick up some weight here as we get into the racing season.
So we are going to step away here as we're 114 laps into this race. We're going to take a quick commercial break. Do not go away. CFI returns for more at Dover, Delaware. Welcome back live here at Dover. We've just got about 32 laps left on the board. Actually, we're going to cross the stripe for 31 laps left here today. These guys have gone caution-free in the BMP 150 at the Monster Mile, which again is very impressive. A tricky track, the giant-sized Bristol, I like to call it.
Yeah, and at this point now that some cars have made some pit stops and Andrew Fayash III has worked his way around, he now has the entire field, ladies and gentlemen, down at least one lap. Ninth place is down 2 laps, so this strategy by Andrew Fayash III, really genius at this point. Even if he gets a caution, he's going to be the leader. Going to be tough to beat that 77 here tonight. What an impressive, not only speed, but just the thought put to cut this race only into one stop.
And there's still a chance of getting that late race caution. However, if Austin's got everyone 1 lap down or 2 laps down, even if they take the wave by, that they will be starting behind him. And I mean, he's been the class of the field all night long. The only driver that's been able to compete at all was Austin Hartenfels, and that was before he hit the wall.
And Austin hitting the wall early has really cost him the time that he's wanted at this point back, because he hasn't had legitimate time, for example, under caution to repair that car. He's had to kind of beat the fenders out for the split second they have when they make that green flag stop, when he did those 2 times he came down pit road. So definitely not a good night when you hit the wall and don't have time to fix it. You're just kind of fighting that thing for the rest of the night. And he's up there in 7th, but he's probably, like a lot of people out here, going to want to see a caution here and hit a reset button and try and see if they can get back on the right track.
Taking a look right now, Finlayson in that number 32. Oh, and we've got a trouble in the backstretch. There's the caution. And Finlayson dives into it. Oh, and Tellier almost gets in
Tellier. Yeah, Tellier just took her spot and almost barreled into the wreck. That would have been bad. Mike Tellier tried to get by. He hits the wall. He's okay. He did not hit that wreck, but he had to hit the wall because of it. Bronson still stopped on the back straightaway. This is going to change up quite a lot of strategy here. A lot of these guys are going to have to at least attempt to take the wave by. So this is probably the caution that Andrew Fayas III did not want to see preferably.
It really does suck for Fayash, but really sucks for Finlayson. He was having a great night there, and the 7 of Bruce Ackerman just gave the number 20 a shot there on the back straightaway.
Yeah, that was definitely some tough luck there for both of them. And Mike Tellier having a career run, almost threw it out the door. Definitely lucky he got through that with minimal damage, and I think a lot of guys missed that too, kind of for a split second. That could have been really bad. Kind of the bad part of Dover, if you look at it, when there's a wreck and there's a car sitting in the middle of the track, there's really nowhere to go. And you kind of just pick a lane, shut your eyes, and just hope for the best at that point. There's nothing you can do, and definitely everyone gets through there the best they could. But now on pit road, we have one car, and that's the 77 Andrew Fayash III. That's because the entire field is taken away by here.
Now, what it does do, Shane, is it allows Fayash to get some fresher tires while those guys have been out there for about 25 laps. So unless we get another quick caution here, which very well can happen, and most likely will since cautions breed cautions, Fayash is going to be automatically incredibly faster, as well as Mike Tellier there in that number 97. Although he will have to start at the tail end of the line, he will be able to come down pit road as well.
Yeah, we'll just have to see when we get it all sorted out. The rest of these cars can elect to pit here or obviously stay out there and elect the wave by. Going to see Bronson Stafford peel off. He's got some damage, obviously, but other than that, a lot of these guys taking the advantage of that wave by. They'll be back in the lead lap, but they're going to be on some older tires, and I can tell you what, this is not the track you want to restart on old tires. Not fun at all on the banking.
Looking back, remember, I'm sure someone does, back when the Ascension League Gaming League, my league, went here in the A cars right after the new tire model a couple seasons ago was released, and let's just say everyone turned up into the outside wall on the green flag 4 times in a row, and that was with a field of not only pro drivers but some guys that have been around here for a long time and should have known better. But this track can be tough even on the best of drivers.
Yeah, it's just that cold tire and old tire feeling, just not good for the guys on the older tires. It's really a handful, regardless of the skill level you have. You're going to have to take it easy, or you're going to find yourself on the outside wall there, and we're going to have to hope that doesn't happen here. That could take out a lot of cars if it does.
So looking at the top 5 as they get things settled out here, Andrew Fayash will be out in front, Mike Tellier in second, Michael Finlayson in the 32 will be third, Ryan Dyson fourth, as well as Corey Hoover in fifth, rounding out that top 5.
Here comes a lot of cars around the pace car. I'd say the pace car is going to be pretty overwhelmed with the amount of cars going by. We've got some 10 or 12 cars taking wave bys here. Not very often you see that many. It's usually about 3 or 4 at the max, but most of the field going by the pace car there. They'll be back in the lead lap, but they're going to have to go all the way to the tail end of the longest line.
You see they're under caution, only 3 cars directly behind that pace car.
Yeah, I'm watching TV too, trying to watch the rest of these guys come off turn 2. There they come, all of them flying off there. They're trying to make it back before the restart of the race, because pace car is getting ready to pull off. Some of these guys still coming out of turn 2, gotta hustle their way down here and see if they can get back close.
We'll see how this one goes. Mike Tellier up on the outside line as the rest of the field will be single file. Will we get another quick caution? And if we do, that will be the savior of the rest of the field. Here we go. Green flag is back out. And these guys finding the outside wall. Big time jump, just like I expected. But, oh, why is the caution out? Did the admin call that?
Yep, there you go, guys. This is, if you've never done a restart on old tires here in Dover, why don't you just try it before you go to bed tonight? Because because it's not fun. I think some guys might have not realized that on the start there, and they kind of met the wall there. It's not a fun experience, and it happens.
Not gonna lie, that caution being called is pretty much a bunch of bull. Shouldn't have happened. No reason for it. All the drivers had their cars corrected straight up, and while you did have to go around the slower cars, there was no reason for that caution. That's ridiculous. Rarely do I ever have to really come out with something I really strongly feel about when I watch a broadcast, and that right there, strongly disagree with it, Shane. And that's just complete ridiculousness, because now all those cars that just screwed up that restart can go down pit road and get 4 fresh Goodyears. And that's pretty convenient for them.
It is, and the time by, they're all going to come down pit road. They all will, because they're going to have to. This is how you're going to keep your spot, is come down pit road, get 4 fresh tires, and yeah, pretty much all that work by Andrew Fash, the third, kind of wiped away there when that controversial call, and kind of one of those things. We're just going to have to see how it plays out from here, see if it helps anybody out.
We've got our in-race reporter up in the booth, Andrew Fayosh, our current leader here at Dover for the BMP 150. On board here, Steve Bonesteel up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
So what do you feel about that caution right there? Do you think it should have been out, even though all of the cars had their machines corrected?
I didn't see the wreck, so I'd have to look after the race before I comment, but I am a little frustrated that it came out. I mean, you got to know, Dover, you spin the tires easy on new tires on a restart, but everybody should know that old tires and a restart is really bad at this track, so I don't know. I'll have to look at it.
Yeah, just looking from up here in the booth, and all of the viewers seem to agree that there is just no reason for that caution. Everyone, while they were sideways up on the wall, I mean, they did it to themselves. You've got to know better, like you said, that that's going to happen here. This concrete surface has been around for years. So, unfortunately, that's how it works out. And while you do have a little bit of a buffer zone with some of the cars behind you, I think you've got a chance here to still get this done with ease.
Yeah, I guess I should look on the bright side. It's better that the caution come out before I even get a lap on my tires. So now we're all on the even set of tires. Because if it would have happened in 5 or 10 laps, then what do I do? Do I pit? Do I stay out? It kind of, 2 tires, 4 tires. That would have changed the whole game up. So I guess it's better that it came out immediately rather than 5 or 10 laps into the run.
All right, well, thank you for talking to us up here in the booth. Who do you have to thank for making this thing happen so far, leading almost every single lap that you've cycled through to be the leader here?
Yeah, I just want to thank you guys for broadcasting. I didn't put the logo on, but somebody didn't PM me today, so I don't know if you guys got done everything else. But I got to thank you guys for broadcasting as always, and Upper Edge for hosting this. It's a great league. I mean, where else are you going to see us run? Or where else can you run 113 green flag laps at Dover, especially with everybody on different pit strategies, and everybody's on a different pace, so it's really easy for there to be an accident like that.
Yeah. Well, we did make the change there. We were able to get your number up on the broadcast. It still looked absolutely ridiculous there, moving it right behind the number. So that's definitely something we'll have to look. Definitely going to have to look at that in the design flaws. I mean, it looked absolutely weird having the black numbers right behind the position. So unfortunately, when we requested Ryan to make black numbers, we didn't think it looked quite like that when you put them all together.
It might look weird, but it's easier to read. It's easier to understand, I think, that way. But, we could argue about that all day like we did the other day, so I'll just let it go.
How about the viewers at home holler up and say, does the ticker make sense to you guys? Can you tell the difference between the positions and the numbers? Good luck here on this restart, Andrew.
Thanks, guys.
Here, these guys with 18 laps remaining, they'll have 17 when the green flag flies. Interesting top 5. I guess not really. At the same time, we've got Ryan Dyson, Corey Hoover there in that second row, Finlayson in that damaged number 32. I've got a feeling he might find himself overheating. There's Mark Murphy. But the pace car pulls off, and we're going to go back to green flag racing here at Dover for the BMP 150.
Mike Tellier does not get a good start, but we are at green flag racing here once again. That 97 having a career run nonetheless. Be interesting to see if he can bring that car home in the top 5, and good for him. But Ryan Dyson slots into second, kind of struggled throughout the evening, and he's finally got some new life there in the second spot, and going to have to see if he's got anything for Andrew Fayash III in this late portion of the race.
You see the field there going down the front straightaway, almost everyone single file. Bradley Burke into the outside wall. That's going to check things up.
Yeah, it'll kind of slow it up. Austin Hartenfeld, because of the damage, put him back farther than he wants to be, stuck behind him. He's now going to the outside of Shane Terry, and I don't know if that'll work. It's possible here at Dover, not for long though. Those newer tires kind of wear off eventually, and they almost make contact. Close racing, but
hard in the
they're
wall
all
for
racing hard.
Krasinski.
Yeah, Krasinski gets into the wall behind him there. A lot of cars beating that wall. I think they're finally realizing what new tires does to the car. You push it too hard, and you're going to end up in the wall there.
One thing I would like to note, Shane, the past 5 laps, there has been a ton of server lag. I don't know if maybe it's just on my screen, but...
Yeah, it might have been on your screen. I haven't seen anything unusual, at least for me, and I have extremely bad internet, so I would probably say that's on your part, but I think maybe some drivers could maybe ask about that later or something like that. I mean, it's possible for iRacing, not perfect as usual. It's not expected, but I didn't see anything, no.
On board the back bumper there of Andrew Fayash, and there, it blinks out. It was gone for me there for about 10 seconds, Shane.
Yeah, I did not see him blink out there. He's still leading, still running fast, and yeah, that might be something on your side. We apologize for the inconvenience there, but it will get better. It's just one of those things that happens now and again, and hopefully it'll be okay here for the final 10 laps of the race.
Unfortunately, just how iRacing really is, too. One guy can see one thing and the other guy sees something completely different. And it really just depends on where you are in location to the server farms. I mean, right now there's a pretty big storm brewing in the northeast. And, I mean, that might have something to do with the iRacing servers being in Massachusetts there. So, either way, we've got 11 laps coming to 10 remaining. And Corey Hoover's just about I'd like to say, 4/10 back from our leader.
Yeah, Corey's really come to life here in the closing laps. He's been known to run close to Andrew throughout some of these short track races, and now all of a sudden that car has some new life. And Andrew's been kind of coasting along as of lately, and now all of a sudden he's got to buckle down and run some fast laps. He's going to want to take this win because Corey's right there, and he's coming, giving it everything he's got here, but under 10 laps to go.
And all of this wouldn't have been possible if that RCA Racing number 33 wouldn't have been able to make it through there after almost getting it walled on that convenient caution that just came out.
And last time by pretty much even. Corey Hoover just a little bit faster, not even really measurably faster, but literally inches we're talking. They're pretty much identical at this point. He's going to have to run faster than Fayash for at least, I'd say, 3 or 4 more laps if he's going to want a chance, because he's kind of far back at this point to at least challenge without something else happening, and that time by Andrew significantly faster, so really turning it up there. And Corey's going to have to throw every last bit he's got at it now, or he's pretty much going to end up with second.
Coming to 6 laps to go, and With only 5.5 laps of racing, it looks like Fayosh is starting to pull away just a tiny bit. Like you said, Shane, inches every time by. But, I mean, not only does Corey have to catch our leader, but he has to find a way to pass him, and that's going to be tough here. Fayosh being a pro driver, this is not his first rodeo.
No, definitely not that time by even, but that's good news for Fayosh because there's no way Corey's going to beat him now, at least without really turning some faster lap times compared to what he's been turning now. He's pretty much going to have to go over a tenth faster, and I just don't see that happening without Andrew making a mistake or a slip-up. But like you mentioned, Steve, Andrew's got plenty of experience. Not that Corey doesn't. He does, of course. He's one of those guys who raced in the Truck Series for a long time here, so he has the experience. It's just Andrew's a little bit faster at this point in the race, and he's getting ready to bring home this victory at this point.
Two laps remaining, and that gap sits at a half of a second. Shane, unless something big time happens to that number 77, he's got this one locked up.
Yeah, he's coming to the white flag this time by. That car been handling good all night for Fayosh, and I'm pretty sure he's going to take this win home in pretty good style, and I'd say he'd be pretty pleased. Look at the performance he had tonight. Led a ton of laps, by far the most laps led. Sat on the pole, had a great strategy going there, and despite some bad luck at the end, he's still going to end up winning this race as he gets ready to take the checkered flag this time.
Andrew Fayosh leading 130 laps here for the BMP 150 will cross the line, and first to win, Corey Hoover second. As Austin Hartenfels walls it coming down to the front straightaway there. A career best finish, I do believe, for Mike Tellier in that number 97. Michael Finlayson with a disappointing finish. He will finish in 9th, and I'll pull up the results there for the rest of the drivers there. So Fayosh comes away the winner. Hoover second, Mark Murphy third. Great finish for him. Ryan Dyson fourth, Bradley Burks fifth. Austin Hartenfels, disappointing finish further back than usual for him in 6th. Shane Terry in 7th, Mike Tellier 8th, Michael Finlayson in 9th, and then Joseph Tice rounds up 10th. Mark Rapolo 11th, and then Trevor Rapolo in 12th, Elaine Krasinski in 13th, and a nice comeback for a really awful race. Dalton Alexander in 14th, Michael Thompson there 15th, Rally Grant Davison, the number 24, rounds out 16th, Bruce Ackerman 7th, Bronson Stafford 18th after being in that wreck there at the end of the race, and then Andy Glazik rounds out the field in 19th after blinking out of the server a little bit earlier on. As Fayosh makes a celebratory lap backwards here on CFI, we'll get a chance to speak with him here after the race. We'll be back in just a moment for post-race coverage. Back live here at Dover, we've got our race winner, Andrew Fayosh, up in the booth here, our in-race reporter as well.
Hey guys.
Well, even with that end of race caution, you were able to come away victorious here at the Monster Mile. How did you figure that strategy was going to work out if that caution wouldn't have come out?
Without that caution, I mean, it would have been, I'd have been gone because we were on such different tires there. But with the caution, I was just, I know Ryan made a good restart and he was looking low into one, but the only reason I gave up the bottom is because I wanted to get a better arc for the corner because I knew it was going to be important to get out of turn 2 with some speed. So that's why I ran the angle I did. And once I got a gap, I just thought I'll take it easy on the tires for half this run. Just in case there's a caution, then I don't have to worry about pitting, and I'll feel comfortable in what I got. So it's just it's crazy how much you got to play strategy every lap of these races, even when things seem to be playing in your favor.
If you had to pick another driver out here today that was going to compete with you, who would you picked?
Well, prior to him killing his right front off the wall, I think it's obvious on the first run, Austin was pretty darn quick. Again, the first run I was trying to push it enough to keep a gap, but not enough to kill the right front. And I mean, he was pretty much mirroring me in that respect. But I guess I started getting away from him a little bit, and then I guess he caught the wall. But without that damage, Austin was definitely the best competitor today.
All right, again, congratulations. Who do you have to thank for making it happen?
Well, like I said before, I want to thank you guys for broadcasting. I'll put the logo on for next week since you guys changed it, or listened to my requests, I should say, for the broadcast. And again, Upper Edge for putting all this on. I love this track, so I mean, this is I think it showed, and it was a lot of fun being on different pit strategies. I did not know till probably about 10 laps after Corey made his final pit stop whether I was on the right strategy or not, and luckily it worked out.
All right, good stuff. Congratulations once again.
Thanks.
I do believe Shane Doherty is caught up with Mr. Bronson Stafford on pit road.
All right, Bronson Stafford, this is Shane Doherty up in the booth. You got a copy?
Yeah, I got you.
All right, long race here tonight, 150 laps in the books. Not the way you wanted to finish here tonight, Bronson, but take us through your race.
Definitely not the way I wanted to finish, but start of the race kind of, I don't know, things kind of looked good. Found a way I'd like to run it. It felt kind of good after a long run, and I don't know what happened. I don't know if I burned the right front or I dropped off just really bad. I hit a cliff and I fell about half a second off my lap times, and from there it just kind of strategy played. It worked a little bit, and then of course the whole accident with Bruce thing. I'm not really sure what happened there. It was just because I was old tires and he was new, but definitely disappointing after last week. But next week's no points racing, so it's nice and relaxing.
Yeah, definitely. Dover's one of those tracks that's hard to avoid wrecks. Not a lot of room out there. It's unfortunate after coming off such a strong week last week there and having a tough week this week. And like you said, it is how racing goes, and I'm pretty sure you'll bounce back here in the up-and-coming weeks. And good luck to you. But before we go, is there anyone you want to thank for tonight's efforts?
Yeah, definitely. Home Depot, Bear Paints, everyone on the team, Mike Tellier, Shane, Mark Murphy, and everyone back there, Speed Demon Racing, obviously the actual team. Just Ryan and you guys every week. It's fun. This is not a lot of people, I think, get to go run leagues that are broadcasted and stuff like that on iRacing, and it's definitely a lot of fun, and it's a privilege, and it's awesome. So thanks.
All right, and that was Bronson Stafford. We wish him good night, and guess we'll turn it over to Steve here to close things out.
We saw a pretty good race here at Dover. Only one caution, and actually two cautions there. I guess I forgot to count also here today. And it was a lot of fun. We saw some different strategies come into play throughout the event, and definitely looking forward to see what these guys have. I do believe we have the week off next week. I don't believe we are broadcasting the All-Star race. I'll just have to double check on that. If we are, tune in live Thursday night, 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll just go from there. So thank you all for tuning in here live on CFI, and we'll see you next time.